Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Are you looking to upgrade your IT skills or prepare for certification? IT Pro TV offers engaging and informative tutorials streamed to your Roku, computer, or mobile device. For a free 7-day trial and 30% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv/allaboutandroid and use the code AAA30. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used HTC and other Android devices are worth at Gazelle.com. And by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you monitor, control, and automate your home from wherever you are using your smartphone. Right now, SmartThings is offering All About Android listeners 10% off any home security or solution kit and get free shipping in the U.S. when you go to smartthings.com/twit and use the offer code TWIT10 at checkout. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 196, recorded on Tuesday, January 13th, 2015. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I almost couldn't get that out. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Ron Richards.
I'm Gina Trapani.
It's like gymnastics was happening.
Listen,
yes,
it's still,
saying
it's
all that
still
stuff.
New Year. It's still early in the year.
Yeah,
you get used to it.
We're new at this.
You'll get your hang of it sooner or later, man.
One of these days, that intro is going to become easy.
This whole podcasting thing, you'll catch up. You'll figure it out.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
Every time you get that right, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Because it is a mouthful.
Because every time I've been in that chair, I cannot do it without looking. It is horrifying. It is, yeah. So.
Well, all I can say is I suppose I've said it enough times, but still I can't do it without looking at some point. You know what I mean? Like in my head, I want to be able to like know the episode number and know the date and just look at the camera the entire time, but I can never do that. I think I've done that once. And
it's
I'm
a
very
long
proud.
double sentence.
It goes on.
Yeah.
And on.
And on.
And on, and it keeps going for like a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, so we're here today. We don't have a guest today, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about, of course. And Ron, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back.
Welcome to the new year.
Sorry I missed last week. You did not want to see me last week. I was in a state, so that was...
Congratulations, though, on nailing 2014. Good job, Ron.
Yeah, no
yes,
kidding. Okay.
Yes, I did.
I think we can officially give you your props. Good job.
Thank you. It feels good.
Props for sure.
I feel like I've earned this seat at the chair.
You earned it.
Gina, you were a formidable competitor.
No kidding.
Jason, I look forward to improvement in 2015. And we got to basically we need to team up and keep the guests down.
I don't know. Like this might be the year of the guest.
It might be the year of the guest.
I think it should just be host versus guest at this point.
Yeah. Oh, hey, that's not bad.
That's a good idea.
Teams.
Yeah. But no, I was bummed. I missed the first episode, and I could not particularly. We'll talk more of the arena though. A little controversial win with that app, with Shut App at the end. But I still stand by it.
Kind of talking about what we were just mentioning about teaming up. Isn't that what like reality shows do when they finally hit like? You know, they do 5 or 6 years of like the normal competition, and then they go like teams.
Then they go to teams
versus
or celebrities.
Or celebrities. So that's what we need.
That's what we need. We need celebrities.
Yeah. Celebrities.
Yeah, I'll call Kevin. We'll get him in.
We'll get Bruce Willis on the show and ask him what his favorite Android app is. So there we go. We're going to be discussing a lot of stuff in this episode. We have a critical security issue for some older devices, but turns out there are a lot of older devices, so that could be a big issue. Samsung has a new Galaxy A7 phone. Google's bringing Lollipop kind of decorations and stylings to its launcher, so Jelly Bean and Kit Kat devices can get in on the action, and so much more. But Brian, I hope you're ready, because we're going to dive into some Android news.
This just in, Brian is not prepared, but fortunately Jason is. Time for Android news.
You've had like 2 weeks to come up with something.
I love starting the year off on the right foot. And Brian really can step up. But there's no better way to start off the year than with lots of numbers.
That's right, Gina.
I'm so
you were
excited.
so lucky. You're so lucky.
It's true. you. New distribution numbers. This is the juiciest news bite possible. No, but there's something interesting here.
Yeah.
So and it's Lollipop, right? So we've got new distribution numbers out, which Google puts out. These are numbers of the kind of devices that use the Play Store over, I think, a 2-week period. We got Kit Kat at 39.1%, Jelly Bean at 45.5%, still at the top of the heap there. Ice Cream Sandwich 6.7%, Gingerbread at 7.8%, and no sign of Lollipop whatsoever.
Wow.
Which means basically that Froyo beats it with a measly 0.4%. Google basically doesn't list any versions that are less than 0.1%.
Wow.
This kind of hit me because, I mean, I realize this is totally like my one person's experience coloring my whole opinion, but the fact that I still haven't gotten Lollipop on my OnePlus One, which still kind of feels like a new phone, even though I get that it's cyanogen, it feels like Lollipop is not out yet. To me, anyway. I know you guys are rocking the Nexuses with Lollipop, but it does feel like Lollipop is not getting out there.
Am I delusional about the number of people with Nexus devices? Like here, I would have.
I would agree. I would have thought that there were enough to at least register
to
chart. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
The fact that Froyo can chart, but Lollipop can't.
I might be delusional. Here I am thinking that we're in a movement, that we've got people, we've got momentum, that we're Android and we're taking over the mobile space, and not so much. But I mean, I guess Kit Kat. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, I think to Gina's point, the distribution issue, what we've talked about, which has been the story for a year plus, which is getting those updates out and getting them to all the carriers and getting them to every different phone. I think that by us getting it right when it came out, we just assume, I know personally, I just assumed everyone else has it, but I realize
when it's your own personal experience, when you're using it day in, day out, it becomes less of an abstraction and more of just like the way it is. But it's true. Most people don't have it, obviously.
And meanwhile, that Gina doesn't have it, I don't know how you're not on here screaming every week not having it. I mean, like,
It's extremely frustrating. So my better half has a Nexus 5 with Lollipop on it, and it just kills me because she doesn't care. She doesn't care what operating system, and it just kills me because I look at her phone and I'm like, that's gorgeous. Wait, how does that notification work? Wait, can I see? Like, I grab her phone and I play with it because I haven't gotten it yet. And this is my first experience. This is really the first time in a very long time I don't have a Nexus. And it's definitely the first time that I've been stuck behind a version for this long. It's really frustrating. But in a way, it's good because I feel like, hey, even though I've got a OnePlus One, which was invite only at the time I got it, it's cyanogen. So I do have a very rare Android experience here. This, like, waiting for the update is sort of like the normal person's deal.
Yeah.
So in a way, I feel kind of like, okay, well, this is how regular people experience.
Right. It's a forced perspective.
It's
reason
a bummer, though.
Take that
perspective. It's
perspective.
totally a bummer.
Like over the holidays, my dad has a Samsung Galaxy S4, maybe. He might even have an S3, to be honest. I don't know. I got to check on that. But I was like, oh, and I was referring to something on Lollipop, and he's like, oh yeah, I don't have that yet. I was like, really, you don't have that? I just assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I for a second I was like, oh, maybe I'll just buy a Nexus 5 or like just to have, I tried to upgrade. I had trouble in upgrading my Nexus 7 because it's the old version and I had this weird problem. Finally, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait for Lollipop for when it comes, when it's going to come and just sort of experience the normal person's Android experience. And it sucks. I'm here to tell you that it sucks. It really does suck.
Right. So then this being your first time without a Nexus, and obviously the OnePlus, you didn't do this lightly. The OnePlus is the OnePlus One is a fantastic device. But here we are kind of in that update world. Does this make you regret not having a Nexus since this is kind of the first time that an update's happened and you haven't been on the Nexus train?
So here's the deal with the Nexus. Like, I don't want a Nexus 6 because it's just too big. Like, it's just too big. And the Nexus 5, not only is it not available, whenever I check the Play Store, it's not in stock. It feels old. Like, it feels like it came out a year ago. So I don't think that there isn't like a Nexus device that I'm burning for at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a 5-inch or a 5.5 even new Nexus, with the new stuff where you tap the screen and it comes on, all the Nexus 6 goodness, I might have just, on an impulse bought it and switched my SIM card and been done with it. But there really isn't a Nexus that I'm like, really dying for. Somebody asked me recently, which Android phone should I get right now? And I was like, the Nexus 6 is kind of big. He was like, yeah, too big. He's like, what, what's the non-Nexus phone again? And I was like, he's like, what about the OnePlus One? I was like, well, they're moving away from cyanogen. I'm not so thrilled about that. There isn't a clear choice for me. So I don't know. But you guys love the 6s, your 6s, right?
Well, Ron, you're still on 5.
I'm still on 5. I'm proudly on 5. Although if they had come out with a Nexus 6 -1 or a Nexus 6 -0.5,
not gonna happen.
I would have tried it, whatever. But this is the perfect size. I love this phone. It's fantastic. We were just talking before the show started.
I was just playing with it earlier today, with the latest updates and everything, and it's still
great.
Operates really well.
Yeah.
Definitely improved from when I was using it daily before I got the Nexus 6 and before they rolled out the point update. But I think fixed some issues.
You are emotionally in love with your 6.
I love it.
Yeah, like you
more
really
and more, yes.
like you took it out, you wined it, dined it, and you decided to go exclusive. And
sorry.
But every now and then, it's an open relationship. A cable can go in.
The Nexus 6 knows that a phone could walk into my life and peel me away from it. There was a time where the OnePlus One, held this crown,
but the key about the Nexus 6 is it doesn't judge. It accepts you for who you are.
And there's been no degradation or weirdness for you, Jason, over time. You've loved the 6 the whole time.
No,
I've heard degradation.
Yeah, no. Early on, I had issues. There have been updates to, like I said, point updates that have actually visibly improved things, and some of the screen redraws. When you go to the home screen, everything, all that stuff is gone, and that was a regular occurrence before that update. And so those were a big part of my complaint. The other part was always just kind of like the battery aspect. I still think that the display is just there's no need for the QHD display. I don't think. I think a good 1080p screen, and honestly, when I see the 1080p screen on the OnePlus One, the screen is only a little bit smaller than this, to be honest. It's every bit as sharp to my eyes, which I feel are pretty discerning. And on the 6, you lose battery as a result of it. And I definitely do find that my battery is low by the end of the day. I wish it had more juice to it.
Well, that's the thing.
That's my criticism.
On a battery side, I have noticed in recent months the Nexus 5 battery dying faster than usual. And I don't know if it's a combination of the fact that I added the watch and now Bluetooth is on all day. I don't know how much of a battery drain Bluetooth was. I wasn't doing that before. Or the changes in Lollipop and the new services and things like that. But the reality of the matter is I'm sitting just like this at a desk for 7 to 15 hours a day. I have no problem putting it on the charger when I'm at my desk. And even like last,
it's almost like you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah. And even last week when I was at my event, which is basically like a conference, I had three Mophie boxes in my bag. And when I was running down by like 11 or 11:30 or so, because I'm frantically texting and I've got sync on, I'm doing stuff like that, just plugged in a battery and just dealt with it. Like that's.
Man, you are hardcore. You got the Mophie bags.
You are.
Couldn't lose the phone. That's for sure as a lifeline. But what I'm just saying is that like. I don't think it's reasonable at this size and and what we're doing with it to expect it to, like, I know I'm pushing it. I'm doing I've got every service on. I'm doing every possible thing. There's going to have to be a battery drain on. I have to be prepared for that. So,
interesting stuff. So in light of the distribution numbers, we went on a little tangent
we
there.
Did,
beyond the distribution numbers, but that's okay. This all ties into it. This next story.
Did you say it ties into it?
Oh, I had no idea we were about.
Oh, there we go.
Jabra B appreciated that. Although I didn't intend for that. That's next week. Next week we begin all about ties.
Hey, I'll be here all
Not
week.
yet, okay? Yeah. This next story is a bit troubling for anyone running 4.3 Jelly Bean or earlier. That's a total of 60.9% of Android users based on this last distribution chart. Those old versions of Android have, of course, the Android browser running by default, right? You remember at one point there was the big switch and suddenly Chrome's pre-installed and then the Android browser went away and it's just Chrome. So those old versions have the Android browser. That browser carries, or rather operates an outdated version of WebView. And if you don't know what WebView is, it's basically its primary function is how web pages are rendered on Android. Google has said it is leaving any vulnerabilities in this older version of WebView in the hands of independent researchers to discover and independent code monkeys to patch. So basically, Google is kind of end-of-lifing support for these old, for critical security issues with this old version of WebView and leaving it in the hands of the people. Google will then consider adding that patch to the AOSP code once it's discovered and sent to them. Security researcher Todd Beardsley says Google no longer certifies third-party devices that include the Android browser, and as such, they're dropping support for exploits that are based on it. He says it's important to consider that there is no published end-of-life or end-of-support policy from Google with regard to any version of Android. Google may decide to drop support for KitKat tomorrow, though doing so would be suicidal. Of course, I would expect that dropping support for 60% of your install base to be suicidal as well, yet here we are, which is a fantastic point. And Beardsley also said they've been tackling WebView exploits on a regular basis. So it does seem likely that this is an issue that's going to appear. What the severity of that is, I suppose, remains to be seen. But and by the way, Play Services can't help this particular issue. This is kind of out of the reach of the Play Service tweak. So I don't know. Kind of sounds like the Windows XP problem, right? It does. So many people were on Windows XP. I'm sure Microsoft wanted more than anything to just kind of move on, and eventually they had to kind of rip the Band-Aid off and just say no more support for XP. But it took them years to do that because the user base was so huge.
I mean, it becomes an anchor around your neck that you got to drag with you. But at the same time, it's almost 1 billion users.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's a Jelly Bean, at the very least, is a couple of years old, and 2 years in mobile world, especially in Android world, that's almost, well, it's not half of Android's lifespan, but it's probably 1/3 of it. So it seems like a long time, but then at the same time, when you actually consider how many users are running that or before, more than half of the entire user base of Android. That's pretty significant.
I also find this ironic or just kind of funny with like one hand is doing one thing while the other hand at the same time, and this is less Android but more Google, but isn't Google doing that whole, hey, if we find an exploit in your software, we're going to give you 90 days to fix it, or we're going to tell everyone.
Oh, right. Which they did with Microsoft.
Yeah, which they've done twice now with Microsoft, right? And so and I understand this is more end of life kind of thing, but it's like on one hand they're like being vigilant about pointing out exploits, but on the other hand exposing potential for exploits in their own software is kind of funny. I don't know how you solve that. I mean, it's got to be expensive to keep the,
I mean, Gina, do you think that the onus is on Google to continue support, or do you think
it's tough. This is a tough one. I don't know how to feel. I mean, on one hand, I think that you can make the argument it's unethical for them to not fix it. But on the other hand, like I get you're into life. I mean, this may be one way that they're trying to discourage people from, using, issuing new products or doing any sort of builds off of that code. I think this is a really interesting side effect of the structure of Android, and that there's the AOSP, and then there's a sort of Google's proprietary layer, and the way that the browser is AOSP and Chrome is Google stuff, and how Google has shifted its efforts now that it's built out the open source platform onto its proprietary layer. No one has their claws and hooks and history and knowledge of AOSP that Google does. Google works on Android kind of in under wraps until they do their batch kind of drop at the end of the development cycle. So people have argued that's not truly open source. So in some ways they make it so that community, outside of Google make it a little harder for contributors to work on the code. And in other ways they're like, hey, other people can fix this. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't think it's their responsibility, but it does feel a little bit like they're screwing over a large number of people, which I'm not so comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's also kind of too bad. It's a rock and a hard place situation also, because Google has addressed this in certain ways with future versions, right? Play Services is specifically would allow them in newer versions to kind of approach this in a different way and bypass the carrier side of things, right? Like just because a third party finds this vulnerability with WebView, somebody creates a fix for it, it ends up getting, Google approves it and rolls it into AOSP, it's still on the carriers or
to do the update
to actually take that and then implement it in their years-old device. Yeah, ain't gonna happen.
Well, it also, I mean, I think it also, you look at it from the other side, from Google's side of it, where they said, they're leaving any vulnerabilities in the older version in the hands of researchers independent researchers to discover. So there might not be vulnerabilities. I mean, like, you know, like it's basically saying is that, you know, like, other folks are going to, you know, pick up on it. And then you know that code monkeys and things like that are going to do the fixes. And if Google's agreeing to deploy the fixes, that's fine. But if anything, they see this as a motivation for people to get current on their phone and not be using, you know, like that, even though the average user won't know about this, you know, but I don't know. I mean, the idea is that at some point that 939 million people will upgrade their phones and then drop off. I don't know how long that takes, if that's even possible.
When you're at 60+% of the entire user base, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, yeah. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun's one word for it.
This episode's all about fun. All about fun.
But it's not just consumer phones, though, running the latest operating system, right? Like, people make all, you know, Android runs on all sorts of devices. Didn't they send some phones into space, you know, a few months ago? I mean, those have, you know, those might have vulnerable WebView components in them. And then who knows what the aliens will do with them. But you know what I'm saying? Like Android's a lot of things. And it's not just about consumers running phones on certain carriers. Like, you know, it can be a lot of different devices. That's why it makes me a little nervous. Especially, we're talking about, this is Jelly Bean, right? I mean, this is a version of Jelly Bean.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if it was froyo or gingerbread. I'd be like, okay.
Right.
But anyway.
Well, hang on. Now, Gina, now you've got me worried about space hackers. All right?
We should all be really worried about space hackers.
Those Martian hackers I'm kind of concerned about now. I hope Elon Musk has a solution for that. But
well, if somebody can come up with a solution, I trust that Elon will be.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to continue the number trend, some positive numbers in the Android camp. App Figures released a report that shows the Google Play Store has now surpassed the Apple App Store for total number of apps in 2014. This is a first for Google Play. It's never happened before. Apple's App Store is currently at 1.21 million apps versus Google Play's 1.43 million.
Oh.
Andrew,
man, 1.21 million. Can you believe it?
Nothing.
That's so few apps.
That's a lot of apps.
My goodness.
That's a lot. I mean, I feel like when I'm scrolling through the list of new apps, I'm like, this is a lot of apps.
You feel it. You feel that there's a lot of apps.
Wow. Yeah. But so Android also reports around 400,000 developers versus 280,000 iOS developers. Android saw the highest growth rate in these categories in games and photography, which I totally believe. If you look at the apps that have rolled out in the past 6 months to a year, have been games have stepped up and photography has stepped up big time.
And not only for any other reason than for the fact that games right now, especially with in-app purchases, is an excellent way to make money on mobile.
Yeah. Oh, Lord knows that I'm sure the 2 Dots people are eating lunch every day for my 99 cents. Yeah, give me 5 more moves.
Yeah.
Give me 5 more moves. Give me 5 more moves. Those bastards.
Wait a minute, $1 for 5 more moves?
Yeah.
Yeah, 99 cents.
They get you.
Or you have to wait 20 minutes, right? Is that? And it's like, no.
Well, no. Well, I'm talking about like in a game where like I literally see 2 more moves and I'll win, and then I run out of moves, and you got to pay 99 cents to get 5 more moves in the game. I'm fine with the you have 5 tries and you got to wait 20 minutes. I'm okay with that. In fact, I like that. It's the during the game that gets me.
During
That's
the game.
what. Yeah. Nonetheless.
Yeah, they really got that. They really nailed that in 2 Dots. You know, the original Dots, it was like, spending money wasn't, but they got it in 2 Dots anyway.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, these numbers of how many apps there are are meaningless. To me, it's like as soon as an app store has 500,000 apps or even 250,000 apps, like we're good. Like at that point, everything else after that is kind of gravy. You know what I mean? Like, like the number of apps is kind of an issue for whatever the Tizen app store is or whatever Microsoft's apps. I don't know. There are plenty of app stores that were the concern of the Amazon app store, maybe even, but even there, I don't think it's really an issue anymore. But this is interesting to look at just as a trend of like, okay, now developers are turning to Android, but in terms of usefulness of the Play Store or the App Store, it doesn't.
Well, it's funny because I think that it shows a lot. I think the number that excites me is the number of developers, the 400,000 versus 280,000. That shows people who are on the platform, they're trying, they're building stuff. The chat room is talking, and they're talking about how, Android is all about games and iOS is about productivity now and all this sort of stuff. You got to remember that the Apple App Store had a several-year head start on the Google Play Store and the Android Store. Android Marketplace. That's what it was called originally.
Android Market.
Yeah.
Android Market. Yeah. And so there's a evolution or a life cycle that you're going to see, and this like burst of developers and burst of apps. Apple already had this burst, and now they've kind of, if you look at the graphs too, they kind of, they haven't plateaued. They're still growing, but they're not growing at the crazy rate that they were. At least you can't really see in this graph because the graph goes before 2010. But Apple's growth is going to slow down while Android's is going to, go that far up. And soon we'll see the productivity app. Soon we'll see like the similar trends that iOS has had. And ultimately, we'll get to some point where there's my dream of parity, where an app comes out and it comes out on both platforms and it's just there and it works and it's, and there's not as much, and that said, there's always going to be exclusivity and all these sort of things, but those are all the rare cases. But it's the independent app developers that are putting their innovation and their ingenuity into new apps. I love seeing, that growth in Android.
I think what's maybe a bit more interesting to me as I look at these numbers now is not iOS or Google Play. It's Amazon's App Store. Because when you think about what we're talking about here, we're talking about, 1.5 million doesn't mean anything if most of them are crap or derivative or, duplicate copies, whatever. Amazon's App Store is curated. It's a lot more curated, and they're over 250,000, which means of all the apps you really want, that you really need to find a solution for, very likely that Amazon App Store is going to have some of the better apps of those categories in there, and you aren't going to have to search through fluff and crap to find it. Passing 250,000 apps in the Amazon App Store with their particular approach, that's kind of a big deal for Amazon.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Excellent.
All right.
So before we move on, I want to thank a new sponsor to All About Android. It's awesome having IT Pro TV on the show. If you have not heard of IT Pro TV, you should check it out. It's a video network. It's dedicated exclusively to the world of information technology. Whether you're looking to jumpstart a career in IT or you're already working in the field, IT Pro TV supplements traditional learning methods in a fun, engaging way to maximize your learning and prepare you for certification. IT Pro TV offers hundreds of hours of content. 30 hours are being added every week. Their library includes video courses on Microsoft, Cisco, Apple, A+, CCNA, Security Plus, MCSA, CISSP, Linux Plus. They cover topics like network security, Linux, Windows, OS X support for desktops, servers, and more, of course. But IT doesn't have to be boring, and IT Pro TV hosts tell engaging stories, share their own personal experiences to help increase your retention. Shows are streamed live. They're available on demand worldwide to your Roku, your computer, mobile device. You can also actually interact with hosts during the show and topic-specific web-based Q&As. And you're probably saying to yourself, wow, this sounds familiar. That's kind of what Twit does. That's because the guys behind IT Pro TV are actually huge fans of Twit. They have over 10 years of experience in IT learning, and they were inspired by Leo and what we've done here at the Twit studio. They use the same studio setup and equipment that we do. Now, even if you're already studying with a book or if you're enrolled in a certification or a technical degree program, this is an awesome supplement to learn at your own pace and track your progress. Measure Up practice exams are also included with your subscription, as well as virtual machine sandbox lab environments for hands-on practice and learning, and HTML5 support for any operating system. Now, you get all of this for one low monthly price, which includes daily updates and new features every month. It's comparable to the cost of a study guide, but much cheaper than going to IT Boot Camp. So check it out for yourself. itpro.tv/allaboutandroid is where you go to upgrade your brain, the most popular IT certifications recognized by employers. You're going to get a free 7-day trial when you sign up using our offer code, which will allow you to check out their courses, live stream, and more. Subscriptions, normally $57 per month or $570 for the entire year. But, of course, we have a special offer because they're huge fans of Twit. If you sign up now and use the code AAA30, that's AAA30, you'll receive 30% off your subscription for the lifetime of your account. It's less than $40 per month or $399 for the entire year. And once you reach your 13th month, they will reduce your subscription rate even further, bringing your cost down to $24.95 per month or $249 for the entire year. So go check it out for yourself. It's itpro.tv/allaboutandroid. android.tv/allaboutandroid. Make sure to use the code AAA30 or AAA30 to try it free for 7 days and save 30%. And we thank the folks at IT Pro TV for supporting All About Android and the Twit Network. Good stuff you guys got going on over there. Thank you. All right, let's get into hardware.
So serene. So nice.
I listen to it when I go to sleep at night. Not really, but maybe I should. Let's see here. Okay, so I thought this was kind of an interesting article about OnePlus, the company OnePlus on PC World. There's an interview with Carl Pei, who's a co-founder of OnePlus, and it sheds some light on their first year for the company last year, which is kind of all over the place.
That was a year.
And I know, right? Almost an entire year at this point. And what's in store for 2015. Some of the highlights, I thought, of the overwhelming demand for the OnePlus One in the U.S., Pei says, we basically weren't prepared for what happened, obviously. We thought that all our demand would be in China the first year. And, they opened it up in the U.S., of course, and I think it was a surprise to them that it was so successful in the U.S., which it absolutely was. Oppo has sold around, or OnePlus rather, has sold around 1 million units to date. So we've been wondering kind of how many they've sold and everything. Close to 1 million, which I think is a drop in the bucket when compared to the big players. But right out of the gate.
Yeah, given what they're doing, I think that's really impressive. And I like that
their business plan is very different.
I like that you slipped and said Oppo.
Yeah,
that was interesting.
I know. Well, OnePlus One, OPO.
Did we ever find out about that? Did we ever get to the bottom of that?
I feel like yes, there are ties is the answer to that. But I still end up getting a little confused about it. But yes, there are connections.
That's right.
On the business plan, on the company's business plan, Pei compared OnePlus to a software startup that offers product for free, or in their case, slightly above cost. He said, once you have a user base, then you can monetize. So, kind of building up a name for themselves right now, which they have absolutely done. And then we're probably going to start seeing devices that cost a little bit more and maybe are a little bit more comparative in that regard. Regarding supply and demand in 2015 versus 2014, he said, the user experience from our side hasn't always been the best in 2014. And again, kind of an understatement. OnePlus will supply more units in 2015 while still being cautious to not overproduce. He says, in the beginning of a product lifecycle, we're going to keep using the invite system to control our risk. So if you don't like the invite system of OnePlus, you're going to have a bad day, because it sounds like that's kind of their strategy going forward. And finally, next generation OnePlus One should arrive in 6 months. He says, I think it's going to be a phone catering to a different type of audience, perhaps for those who appreciate design over specs. So interesting stuff. I think 2015 undoubtedly is going to be an important year for OnePlus, because they had it's kind of like a movie, or like a movie coming out, or a band comes out with their first album.
Right.
They're like, man, that was a good first album, but the pressure's on. The second one better be as good, if not better. But I'm excited to see what they come up with.
I think it's interesting that they, even with the invite system, they still moved 1 million units. I think they've got to be pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm curious what percentage of that million are All About Android audience members, because it just seems like a lot, which is fine. I just feel like we should get a nod or some sort of thing. But I'm curious about what point do they what risk are they trying to minimize? Do they want to avoid the sellout problem that Google Play has had when the Nexus launched? Like, why keep it they're trying to minimize their risk. But if
they don't want to have a bunch of inventory. They don't want to have any leftover inventory.
Right, but they've already sold 1 million. They've already sold 1 million, and there are people complaining that they want it, whatever. So I don't know. I feel like at some point, I understand why they'd want to minimize the risk and manage it, but how long are you going to go with training wheels? How long are you going to be beta?
Yeah. Well, I guess.
If they're not making any revenue on the units, though, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if they're treating this like a startup, they truly are a small company that's selling these phones basically for free at cost. They're not making any money on them yet. Like, I can kind of get, why they're doing what they're doing. And you know, if that's really the reason, I mean, honestly, it's been marketing wise, it's been amazing for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think it's definitely created demand because it was difficult to get. I don't regret getting the OnePlus One. I've really enjoyed my time with it. Next to the Nexus 6, it doesn't look as good. It just sort of seems like a functional slab next to, you know, some of the newer phones have the nice like the nice edges, and they just seem a little more sort of fresh and new design wise. So I think they're going in the right direction by doing a new design, but I am concerned about them doing their own Android build, because it's like, how many things can a small startup do? Like produce phones on an invite system, and also customize their Android build, and also try to, you know, monetize the platform after.
Thanks, Bryan.
That just
Thanks,
wasn't.
Bryan. I appreciate that.
It's just not funny.
But it's interesting to see what they do, especially with some of the trip ups this year. With, you know, some of their marketing trip ups have been a little bit tone deaf, a little bit tough to watch as a OnePlus One owner. Yeah. And it is funny. I just had someone in my family said, "Oh, Gina, what phone do you have? Like, I'll just get what Gina has because she probably has a good one." And I was like, "Oh, you can't." There's not a store that you can walk into and get this. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, this is a company in China and there's an invite. He was like, oh God. So it's like hard. It's like hard
explaining that to normal people.
You're right. It is enough of a hurdle for, you know, like yes, the OnePlus One is a great phone. Yes, it is great value. Yeah. If one of my family members asked me like, what phone should I get? I would, that phone would probably come up in the conversation, but it would be with a cautionary tone that would probably dissuade them from wanting to even get in on it in the first place. Yeah. And I hope that this next year kind of changes that a little bit. If it's an invite system, it's still a limited, a limited approach. So I don't know if it will. I personally, I love the design of the OnePlus One. It's still like, if my daughter Lucy takes this phone hostage, which she likes to do, and I need to check my email on a mobile device, I'll grab my OnePlus One, power it up, and every time I do, I put it in my hand, and I'm just like, man, this is a great phone. Like, I just love how it feels.
Nexus 6 can hear you say that.
It's okay. It's okay, Google.
I actually think psychologically not having Lollipop makes me feel like this phone's a little old and out of date.
No,
and it has nothing to do with the actual hardware. Like, I think I'm just a little bit like, oh, this is old.
Yeah, and to what you were saying as far as OnePlus making their own build of Android, I think that, you know, largely I would imagine that depends on how customized they go with it. You know, up until now, their history has been, what I understand, you know, CyanogenMod, or Cyanogen rather, and you know, yes, it's a customized version, but it's also stock in a lot of ways. But actually, it's pretty darn customized now when you look at it through today's eyes. And I feel like I read somewhere that OnePlus is kind of going for a pretty stock approach with theirs, though I haven't seen it personally. So if they go pretty stock, it'd be hard to really mess it up. I suppose you never know. We've seen a lot of companies mess it up,
especially OnePlus. You've seen a lot of mess ups. Yeah, mess things up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Interesting article, though. Interesting news. So how much of a relief is that CES is over and we have no more product announcements to talk about? Nobody's really. Oh, wait a minute. Leave it to Samsung. Samsung announced the new Galaxy A7 smartphone. Full features and encased in a metal unibody that's 6.3 millimeters thin.
Thinner than the iPhone 6.
Which is pretty darn thin.
Yeah.
So this is 5.5 inches. It's got an HD SAM OLED, SAMOLED, is that how you say it? Super AMOLED, yeah. SAMOLED. It's got the octa-core processor, single SIM LTE, get Exynos 5430. The dual SIM LTE, get the Snapdragon 615. It's got 2 gig of RAM, 16 gig of storage, a micro SD card, 2600 milliamp battery, 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel front-facing camera, and it is running. It's running KitKat. So there you go. Back to the Lollipop woes. It's going to run approximately about $600, and it's going to come in pearl white, midnight black, champagne gold, and available this spring. So a pretty that's a pretty packed phone. You know, like that's got a.
Yeah, like obviously the S6 is going to be their higher end.
Yeah,
this is and a lot of people, you know, are kind of seeing more of these A series phones with the metal unibody, and it seems like they're ramping up for the S6 series to get that metal body, and this is kind of like, it's almost like practice. It's like batting practice to get to the big guy.
But hey, but all those specs and I mean, 13 megapixel camera, like that's a pretty decent phone. I mean, it would be nicer if it was running Lollipop, but I understand that on the Samsung side of things.
It'll get it.
Yeah, and for that style phone, the dumb champagne gold color type and all that sort of stuff, it seems pretty nice.
Yep.
I mean, it's another offering. I don't know why, but we go back. Why more phones? Why more phones? I guess there's always more phones, but yeah.
If Samsung, God, what show was it earlier today that this was? I think actually it was Mac Break Weekly, because I was producing Mac Break Weekly, and they were talking about kind of the larger phones, and it was a great point. The Galaxy Note was a large phone, and we probably talked about it on the show too, plenty of times. But the Galaxy Note, when it first came out, not a lot of people understood. But Samsung, the way that they produce their hardware is they have the capital, to support creating all these wild and crazy things, seeing what customers actually attach to, and if it doesn't work, well, then they just don't do it again. If it does work, then they continue to do it. So they're able to. And not many phone companies are able, hardware manufacturers are able to be so kind of freewheeling as far as their many different types of hardware. So that works for Samsung, more or less. So
for $600, it can work for you too.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's cute. I mean, I realize it's not a very nuanced opinion, but it's a good looking phone.
And it's thin. I wonder if it bends. Does it bend? Probably. If you push hard enough, as any phone will probably bend if you push hard enough. There we go. Okay. And then, well, this is interesting, Gina. This is another kind of CES hardware thing.
Yeah, another bit of new hardware at CES. A tablet that closely resembles the Microsoft Surface design appeared at CES by a company called Jai Technology. This company was formed in 2014 by 3 ex-Google engineers. They call it the Remix tablet. This is an 11.6-inch tablet, modified 4.4 to Android, called Remix OS, that looks and operates in many ways similar to the Surface experience. This has got a 1920 by 1080 IPS display, 64 gig or 128 gig of storage, 2 gigabytes RAM, Tegra 4 One processor, proprietary 4-pin charging connector, magnetic cover that also acts as a keyboard. It's capable of multi-window support. This is kind of the interesting thing about it, which they're doing by tricking the OS into thinking a windowed app is running on a phone. This will be available in the Chinese market. I know, like a weird
approach, but I suppose it works. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it works. Yeah, there you go. This will be available in the Chinese market soon, with US and the UK in Q2, Q3 2015. And it's expected to be $349 for the 16 gig version, $449 for the 64 gig version.
Wow, it really does look like a Surface.
It does. I did a double take there on the shot with the squares. Yeah,
they've skinned it to look Microsofty, even in a little bit.
And I think it's not a Android. It's not so far removed from Android that they won't get the Play services. The whole Google Play package. So that is expected to release on it. And for ex-Googlers, I would be surprised if that wasn't the case. If they didn't realize the importance of that. But yeah, it looks interesting. I definitely would like to play around with that and see. I don't know, it's so skinned to it's just so similar on an OS level to the Surface tablet.
It really is.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I actually think there's a place, the form factor of the Surface. It's not for me, but I think there's certainly like a place for it, and I like it. Although, but you're right. I'd want Android. But everything's got sort of flat boxes at this point, right? So
totally. Yeah. Yep. Even Google now. All right, we have an email from Fred Gaffney, who writes in to say, hey, guys, I have an Asus Transformer Prime. Oh, remember the Prime. That was all the hotness a few years ago. It's performing slowly, which seems to be due to apps updating while the OS is not. I've spent many frustrating hours trying to flash the device to a newer version of Android, but have been unsuccessful. I'm not a programmer, and guides I've found online are difficult to follow. The device is physically fine, but now practically unusable. I'm reluctant to buy a new Android tablet for fear it may also be obsolete in just 2 to 3 years. This type of lifespan has long been the norm with cell phones. Should the same be expected for all tablets? Is this an issue with using the Android platform or maybe just the device itself? You look like you have something to say, Ron.
I think 2 to 3 years is about right.
Yeah.
And also, but the thing is that if that's how it is with phones, it's also kind of how it is with computers. If you think about it.
I don't upgrade my computers for longer than that, but I guess my work laptop that I get here at work ends up getting upgraded about 3 to 4 years. My home computer, which is a desktop, I have that sucker for a long time, and I just max it out with RAM.
Maybe I guess that, but that's
different.
That's still upgrading.
I suppose
it's doing something to extend the life of it.
Sure.
I mean, I'm going from my experience where I had a Nexus 7. How long ago did we get that? 2 years? What
a couple of years ago. Well,
and the reason why I wanted the Nexus 9 was because the Nexus 7 has become unusable. It was so slow and so
3 years. You had the first Nexus 7.
The first
right?
Nexus 7. Yeah, so 3 years. So I think that might be the lifespan. And if you look at the release schedule of the iPads and the various Nexus tablets and the various other tablets that are out there, I think it follows a similar track as mobile phones. Sad to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I think you're right. My original Nexus 7 is also unusable, although I did get a kind email from a viewer suggesting a fix, which was rooting and reformatting FFS. I haven't tried it yet, but apparently it's supposed to revive it. But it was extremely complicated process to do that. But yeah, I've kind of accepted that it's every 3 years. I've been basically freelance or self-employed for years and years and years, and I replace my laptop every 3 years, like 2 to 3 years, because I'm on it all day, and I can't deal with something being really slow. It kind of stinks, but it is. I'm with Ron. It is just kind of reality.
Yeah, especially when it's like when your productivity is affected because it's so slow. Absolutely. And you're using that on a daily basis. But 2 to 3 years sounds about right. And you kind of answer your own question to a certain degree, Fred, in the fact that if you're not getting system level updates anymore on your hardware, but apps are being updated to support, later versions and everything. There's more code that goes into those apps, so that's going to, probably cause them to run a little slower. And at a certain point, you're just being outpaced by newer technology, and the drive to support that newer technology just kind of leaves you in the dust. So, I suppose the flip side to this, and the thing to be thankful for, is that tablets aren't horribly expensive if you don't want them to be. If you feel like it's a cost that you're going to have to eat every 2 to 3 years, you can get a decent tablet for $350 nowadays. So it's not a obviously it depends on everybody's financial situation, but it's not horribly prohibitive to spend $350 every 3 years, let's say, and buy a new tablet to refresh it.
And honestly, I couldn't be happier with the Nexus 9 because it's fast, snappy, it's got a long battery.
You get that
life.
glow.
You
spend that money and you get the glow.
I mean, I can't tell you the number of times. Maybe I'm just a nerd and whatever, but all the years, every time I built a new desktop and replaced it, and you get to start fresh, and you start with an empty desktop and an empty OS, and you just reinstall things, and this time it's going to be clean, and it's not going to be a mess of files.
Right.
Every time you've got that hope. So
is this, and this is only because I actually don't know, is this potentially an iOS versus Android thing, in the sense that iOS devices last longer?
I don't think they last longer.
Are they about the same?
Because the only iPad I ever remember, I bought an iPad 1, and I feel like that lasted 2 years before I wanted to throw it out a window.
Really?
So
okay.
I don't know.
Yep, I've got an iPad 2 that we use with the kid, and it is very, very slow. Very, very slow.
Okay.
Part of it, I wonder, is it slow because the software you're using it is now advanced and needs higher processing, or is there a
switch inside?
Is there a switch inside you can flip? No, but almost it's like, we get old and we move slow. You know what I mean? Like is there a gestational obsolescence that happens as a chip degrades, or you know what I mean? Like the memory, that
I believe it's specially designed into the hardware to do that. Yes.
Yeah,
I planned obsolescence, right? Look, it's in these companies' interest to sell us new stuff. They want it to work really well until the warranty's up.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
That's the,
So wait, Gina, you're saying you actually think that they go in there and they go, yes, we're going to make this fail in 2 years.
I know.
Or you just have a hunch.
But they go in there and say we're optimizing the first year or two.
Okay,
yeah. Usage. Like that's got to be really good. And then whatever it's after that.
I mean that history proves time and time again that's kind of the way it plays out.
Yeah,
that 2012 Nexus 7 was hot.
It was hot. It was awesome
when it released.
Yep, it was awesome.
And a year later,
2012,
man, it stunk.
2012. Oh.
It's true. It's true. With Moore's law, I mean, and even as an engineer, like you want people to get new hardware, right?
Yeah,
you're already thinking like what's going to happen in 3 years from now. It's someone thinks it's going to be so much better. Just get a new one.
Yep. All right. Well, speaking of hardware and getting rid of slow hardware for the new hotness in your life, that's what Gazelle is all about. This episode is brought to you by Gazelle. Thankfully, it's a perfect fit. If you got a new gadget for the holidays, Gazelle will buy your old iPhone, your Samsung Galaxy phones, iPads, MacBooks, and they make it easy. Trading in your old device after the holidays is like getting another gift. Don't forget, you can now buy certified pre-owned iPhones, Samsung Galaxy phones, and iPads directly from Gazelle. So not only are they buying your used gadgets, they're also selling some of the best ones back to you at a reduced cost. If you've lost or broken your phone, a certified pre-owned device is a great way to buy a low-cost replacement. Visit Gazelle.com to see what devices are available from Gazelle in certified pre-owned condition. There are benefits, of course, to buying certified pre-owned. Devices are available in two conditions. There's certified like new, and then certified good. Certified good devices show some gentle signs of wear. Somebody actually used them and loved them, but got rid of them. But they do offer consumers who want to save a little extra money a great device at a great price. All devices have been put through a rigorous 30-point inspection to ensure they're fully functional, and certified pre-owned devices are backed by a 30-day risk-free return policy. Now, benefits of trading with Gazelle, you get paid in cash, payments fast, within a few days of your item being received. It's always risk-free, so there's no risk there. You send them your device. They'll actually wipe your device for free, wipe the data from your device. They're trustworthy. If you don't do it, they'll do it when they get the device. Gazelle has paid nearly $175 million to over 1 million customers. That's because it's easy. And, free shipping, which most items actually qualify for a free box, so that's nice. And fast process, no listing hassles. Just no muss, no fuss, as they say. So take a look for yourself. It's GAZELLE.com. You can find out what your Android device is worth. If you got a new device for Christmas under the Christmas tree, if Santa was good to you, you have this old device and you don't know what to do with it, chances are Gazelle will accept it. Take a minute. Go to Gazelle.com to find out and get some cash for those old unused gadgets that are losing value the longer you wait. It's Gazelle.com. And we thank Gazelle for their continued support of All About Android and the Twit Network. All right. Hey, let's take a look at a few apps. Why don't we?
All right. Some illuminating apps. Talk about illumination as our good friends over at Android Police do what they're known for, those APK teardowns.
Yep, love them.
This time in the hot seat is the new Google Search app, version 4.1. And this is what we find from the APK teardown. It looks like there's some code in there to help for spoken notifications when the device detects it's in a hands-free mode of operation, which is pretty cool. Expansion of search functionality from the lock screen.
Which you get a little bit of that right now, but I don't know what it means to expand beyond.
I have a hard time.
OK Google.
I have a hard time with functionality beyond on the lock screen when the point of it is to lock the phone.
Yeah,
at what point do you just turn the phone on? But it's
I don't have a problem with it as long as I have the option to turn it on or off and choose.
Of course. So in addition to that, we also get power toggles for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and the flashlight, which is interesting given my app in the arena. And then hints that Google Now might open up to third-party developers at some point, which is that's what gets us excited.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what that ends up being.
Yeah, so interesting stuff.
More and more Google Search is turning into the
Google app.
Don't touch it.
The
don't touch it, just say it app, and it's that's really the direction that they're going with it.
Yep.
I wonder if people are following or if they're still just using it the same old way. I just activated the OK Google hot word from any screen. It should be working even with the screen off. OK Google. Oh, hey, there we go.
There you go.
You didn't say it with enough gusto.
Yeah, because you got to train.
You said that with authority the second time. Yeah, it was like really like this is gonna happen. You believed it.
Okay, Google.
You can't be meek about it. You can't just be like, okay, Google.
No, it didn't work that time.
Right.
Okay, Google.
Yeah.
Up talking. No up talking.
No, it learned my voice, so it's not responding to you, Gina.
Google's ignoring you, Gina.
Although I'm positive we set off a bunch of phones.
I love that. Audience. It's my favorite.
Sorry, but
sorry.
That's what you get. All right, Gina, what's next?
Spotify. So Spotify has officially announced that it will not support Google Cast for audio streaming. Instead, it's going to be sticking with its own system, Spotify Connect, which streams to compatible audio systems and speakers. The company said, we launched Spotify Connect because we believe that by owning the technology end to end, we can deliver the best connected home music experience. Connect's advantages are already evident, with hundreds of devices from the world's leading brands integrated. Them some fighting words.
A bunch of marketing hooey.
Yeah?
Of course it is. That translated, we've signed a bunch of deals with equipment manufacturers that pay us to put this on their device or vice versa, and we want to continue to do that.
Why can't they do both, though? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
That doesn't...
Makes me happy I canceled my Spotify account.
I mean, maybe Spotify Connect system or Spotify Connect brings a certain level of functionality that Google Cast doesn't. I actually don't know because I'm not too familiar with Spotify Connect. But why can't you add both? Because then you can still support the more expansive Spotify Connect thingamabob, but Google Cast, it just seems wrong to have such a prominent important music service on Android that isn't going, doesn't have plans to support Google Cast. Well, Google Cast is pretty darn successful.
Here's what Spotify Connect says they do, and Bryan, it's in the chat room. So Spotify Connect is a better way to listen at home. Play Spotify through your speakers, laptop, or TV using the Spotify app as a remote. Enjoy the music together, Jason.
You could do all that.
Instant switching from your headphones to any room in the house.
Okay. All right,
Control the music from any phone or tablet using the Spotify app. Bring the party. Get ready-made playlists and browse for every mood and moment. Non-stop tunes. Make calls, watch videos, go out of Wi-Fi range. The music keeps flowing. Connect to better sound. Higher sample rates make most of your music.
Sounds pretty...
I don't know. I think that they signed a bunch of deals with hardware manufacturers, and that's why they're not... And they see that as competition for some reason. If there's some sort of... So look at all those products that they have with them. Their biz dev guy's been busy. Yeah. So I think that's the bigger problem here, because ultimately all you need to do is connect to your stereo and cast the music. That's all, like what Chromecast does, what this does. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can switch from. I mean, none of those features sounded like they were that different than what you can do from Google Cast, but look, I understand. Look, Spotify is like, we don't want the only streaming technology that we use to be one owned by Google, who owns a competing product with Play Music. But I agree with Jason. Why couldn't they do both in the interest of their users, or giving their users the opportunity to stream Spotify to as many devices as possible, right? Because surely there are some devices that support Google Cast and not the Spotify Connect. Why wouldn't they do both? Yeah, that's a bummer. It's really a bummer, especially for someone, a standards geek like myself, who's just like, hey, wouldn't it be great if everybody used the same protocol,
right?
And that be the Cast protocol. But I understand why companies that are not Google are a little uncomfortable with that.
And when you say that, wouldn't it be great if everybody used the same protocol? That's when thousands of biz dev guys go, no, because they're because that's the leverage.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's their
like,
exclusivity and proprietariness and added value and thought technology and all that fun stuff. I mean, it all
dollars.
Yeah,
it's dollars.
Did you say thought technology?
Thought technology. Slip that in there.
That's
proprietary IP and patents and reasons to get acquired, and yeah,
that's true.
I mean, really, it's a systematic approach to interfacing with the cloud. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Oh God, shoot me.
With tons of value add.
Just sign on the dotted line. It's right there. That's all,
It's a win-win-win.
Yeah, it's a win.
Wow, you're good, Ron.
Yeah, no, Ron
Spotify.
is actually really good. I couldn't go.
Need to get in touch with Ron.
Ron
He's got
plays
skills.
the biz dev guy on TV.
That might pay your bills. All right, this is a quick one. Google Now launcher updated. So with the new version, if you are on Jelly Bean or Kit Kat, the new version of the launcher now brings Lollipop look and feel
if you don't
to
have
those old.
Lollipop.
They're like we realize that nobody has Lollipop because our latest distribution numbers you're not on there, but we're gonna make you feel like you kind of do. Here
Just don't look underneath it. Don't look underneath it. It just looks like Lollipop. It's gonna be fine.
I'm so excited about this. I have this launcher. I was
See?
like, ooh, it's Lollipop. Ooh, no,
It's working.
Lollipop.
Oh, so you're
See,
saying
the
it didn't.
problem is
And I was like, yes.
the problem is we've mentally brought together the concept of material design and Lollipop, when realistically now we find out material design can exist on lower
anywhere.
versions.
Outside of Lollipop. Yes.
So you do have the new version, and did you notice changes?
I literally just got it before I sat down to do the show. I unlocked my phone. I was like, ooh, there's new colors here and a couple of different hamburger menus. And Google Now, it looks, there's a little more white space. But it's not.
What about the app drawer? Is the app drawer totally white, and does it animate up from the button?
Right. Yeah. The app drawer is totally white. The button is white, which it wasn't before.
Okay.
The search box is now white, which it wasn't before. Google Now is also has these gray bars.
Gray bars.
Yes, Downton Abbey and Bill Cosby are on my Google Now. Yeah, so that's all. It's just a little visual, but like notifications. I mean, the good stuff in Lollipop, which is like the notification stuff, that didn't come with this. This is just a
right. But still, the launcher is the thing you use all the time, and you know what I mean. Like every day you interact with the launcher. I suppose you do with notifications and stuff too. But just having that actually does kind of change the scenario at least a little bit. Makes you feel a little bit closer to Lollipop, anyways.
Yeah.
Now they need to get a notifications separate app.
Ooh.
Play Store. What?
I just went to Google Now. Yeah, I just got that. Yeah.
Show it.
Yeah, I just went to Google Now and it took over, gave me an interstitial.
Yes.
It says, do even more, Google. This update gives you new Now cards. Voice action lets you say, okay, Google, from any screen.
Right.
Oh, okay, Google.
As evidenced by.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's set it up. All right, cool.
There you go.
Thany Yeah.
Although I think to set it up, you have to.
I do from a design standpoint, and I don't know if you can zoom in or digitally or whatever, if it's too light, but I do like the confirmation button is yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
It feels like you're a part of something. I don't even know what this is. I'm just saying yes, I'm in.
Good copywriting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, I'm in.
I've liked that since they've been doing that. All right. Before we get to the arena, let's thank our final sponsor of today's episode, welcoming back Smart Things. Let me tell you about CNET's. It turns out CNET's highest rated smart home system, Smart Things, allows you to monitor, control, and automate your home from anywhere using your smartphone. It's all about the smart home, your connected home. Now your lights, your locks, thermostats, home security are all connected through a single app. You don't need a different app for every product. Intuitive controls allow you to set the rules on your smart home through their free iOS, Android, and Windows Phone apps. With Smart Things, you can customize the way your smart devices talk to each other. So now you can tap good night on your phone, and the lights will actually turn off, the thermostat will adjust, and the doors will lock. It just happens automatically when you say goodnight. That's so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, set your lamps to brighten each morning at sunrise or when you want to wake up, basically. Even keep your home protected. You can do that with Smart Things with home security, motion detection, water detection, and more. You can enable your speakers to broadcast, this is awesome, dogs barking if there's motion outside the house. Get some really good speakers, make it realistic. That's great. Set a camera to take a series of photos. When unwanted motion or entry is detected, you can have your doors recognize when you're close and then unlock themselves as you walk up to the door. There are obviously just a ton of ways that you can customize your Smart Things home. Smart Things, like I said, was named CES 2015 Editor's Choice Award. And you can see right now, Ron is the Vanna White right now showing off the SmartThings peripherals.
We got all new toys, and these are fantastic.
Designed.
There's the motion sensor here. I got the smart power outlet, which is pretty cool. You know, the open close sensor, so you can detect if a door or the mailbox is open, or the gate. Some of you have gates around your houses, and you want to know if the gate is closed. My dad would say, "Just close the gate." And I could just check I could just check my phone.
Let me check SmartThings.
Yeah. So
really cool stuff. And obviously, it's up to your imagination to create the smart home of your dreams. To get you started setting up your smart home right now, SmartThings is actually offering All About Android listeners 10% off any home security or solution kit. And you get free shipping in the U.S. when you go to smartthings.com/twit and then use the offer code TWIT10. That's TWIT10 at checkout. So that's smartthings.com/twit. Use the offer code TWIT10 at checkout. And yeah, free shipping, 10% off. All right. I think it's time we battle a little bit in the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Yeah, SmartThings is outsmarting Ron right now.
It really is outsmarting me. The packaging is very clever. There we go. Close. There you go. SmartThings.
Phew. Okay. Last week's poll was AAApoll.com/195. And let me remember what apps we had. Oh, right. Lightbot, Haystack TV News. We had Ish Harshawat of Haystack TV News on the show. And then 2 Dots. And it looks like the winner was Haystack TV News. Congratulations, Ish, and your awesome app. 37%. This was a really close one. It was close all week. Yeah. It was like 33, 32, 30. They were just all hovering around the same realm. And then 2 Dots, second place with 33%. And then my Lightbot game, 30%.
That was good. That was a really good poll. I have to say, I came out of that so confident. I was like, "There's no way 2 Dots isn't going to win," and I was schooled.
Can I tell you, Gina, how many times I almost did 2 Dots in the arena because I've been playing it for like the past month obsessively, and I just never did. And then, of course, you beat me to it. So
I did Control F on the wiki page.
I had done
3 or 4 times. I was like, "There's no way that none of us have done 2 Dots or Dots. We haven't done Dots either," which I played also like crazy for a long time last year. So
it's kind of crazy. Sometimes those games, and actually I'm reviewing one of them today, that you've heard about like endlessly, you just kind of assume that they've been covered on the show, but sometimes they're ripe for the picking. And today is proof of that.
Totally.
I don't know if you guys have heard of Ridiculous Fishing, but this is a game that I feel like about a year ago, I heard of all over the place. Everyone was talking about Ridiculous Fishing. Put it on my wish list. I was like, I have to check this out. Life happened. I forgot to check it out.
You had a child. You had another child.
I had another child.
Launch another show.
Yeah, what can I say? But I finally got around to playing it. And sorry, I just turned up the volume, so it's probably a little too loud. Ridiculous Fishing is just a fun, quick game. It's $2.99. And basically, it's 3 parts. So, and I will say right off the top, I'm not a huge fan. The more and more I play games that use like your accelerometer to kind of control your movement and everything, sometimes they just frustrate me. And like I feel like there's not enough kind of finesse with them to make them fun. I don't find that with Ridiculous Fishing. It's actually pretty cool, and it's totally uses your accelerometer to control. So there's 3 parts. For the first part is navigating down. You got to avoid fish to get as low as you can with your fishing rod, your fishing pole, fishing line. There we go. I'm not a fisherman. And then once you either hit a fish or you go the length of the pole of the... God, I can't talk. Too much fishing terminology. The line, then it starts to go in the opposite direction, and you want to actually catch as many fish on the way up. And then when you get to the top, they shoot out in the air, and you have to shoot them out of the air to collect them. So it's kind of frantic. So I wanted to get that out of the way before I actually played, because it would be really impossible for me to talk and play at the same time. So I'm going to drop my line, and then I'm going to play it. So you go back and forth. You try to avoid the fishes, the little fishies, see how far you can get in. It gets really intense at a certain point, although I feel like I'm doing okay right now.
You're doing pretty good.
Now I got to collect as many fish. You want to go for the big ones, of course, and those are great. Okay, we'll collect as many as I can. And,
that looks like a lot of fun.
It is.
That does look fun.
Okay, so then you collect your fish, and then you go up to there, and then start shooting them. Get them. Get them. Get them. And the more you shoot, the more you collect.
I gotta admit, this seems ridiculous.
It's, yes, a little ridiculous. Turns out they named it appropriately. So, yes, you end up, getting a monetary value for all the fish that you caught. You explore more species, and then you are able, to kind of clear levels and go to different scenarios. There is a store that you can go into, of course, so that you can get things like a longer line. I have that. It's a 100-meter line. Shotgun.
I like how you're like, I have the longer line.
Yeah, I got that. I got that so I could go a little bit deeper in the water. There's a chainsaw lure. There's a Fishopedia, best fishing guide. Okay, I don't know why I would want that. I'm sure there's a reason. Yeah, sure. I'll equip myself with a cap for some stupid reason.
There you go.
And, you play again. There it is. That's really it. Ridiculous fishing. It's a lot of fun if you. Oh wow!
You didn't.
Yeah, I got too involved with talking.
If you can't shoot all three of these, then there's problems.
Yeah, that was easy. I should get like -3 coins for that.
You got 16. There you go. Every little bit counts.
Fine. Ridiculous fishing. It's $2.99. It's just good, quick, clean, crazy fun.
That Nexus 6 size probably helps, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great game. A lot of fun. There you go.
All right.
Good pick.
All right, so my app actually reminds me of some of the wacky apps that we used to get back in the day, as it is a application that uses a physical aspect of your phone to do something that might be a little frustrating without it, although it sounds like maybe Google's addressing this as well. But so every phone now has my little sticker. I'm sorry, but every phone has the flash right there that we have co-opted into a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And even though now we have the ability to pull down the notification pane and tap flashlight, so currently right now I'm using my phone, right? And I'm doing my kind of stuff, and I've got to pull down it, and I got to tap that, and that will turn on the light. Okay, so when it's 5:30 in the morning and you're trying to find a shirt to wear and you don't want to wake up the person in the bed that's 2 feet away from you, doing that is really annoying. So my app is called Power Button Flashlight Torch.
Oh, I misspelled flashlight. Sorry about that.
Flashlight.
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 And basically, when the phone's in off mode, all you've got to do is tap the power button 3 times and it turns the flashlight on.
What?
Oh, wait, I didn't do it right. Sorry. Demo fail. There it is.
Oh, look at that.
There's the light. So when you're fumbling around the room, you can now turn on your flashlight with the power button, which is pretty cool. And when it does happen, a notification comes up and it says stop flashlight, tap to go and stop the flashlight. And it pulls up the app, and there's a big old power button, and I can press that to turn it off.
Okay.
So
nice.
What's really clever is that they have a whole bunch of settings in here. So you can change the duration that you need to hit the power button within. Let me go back and change my brightness there, Brian. I'm sorry, I failed you. There we go. All right. Okay. Okay, so you can change your power button, the duration. So if you're not so fast like I am, you can hit the power button 3 times within 5 seconds, or you can adjust it to 2 seconds. That's the whole thing. It's recording the number of times you hit the power button in this span of time period. So I can change it to 4 seconds to give myself a little more time. Very clever. You can turn on switching off the flashlight by the power button. So if I tapped it 3 times in 3 seconds, the light turns on. If I click this, if I tap this, it's an in-app purchase. So for 99 cents, you can turn off the flashlight with the power button.
Oh,
as well as kill all the
free,
ads.
you can only turn it on with the power button.
Exactly. Yeah.
For 99 cents, you can then also turn it off with the power
exactly.
button.
So
with the same amount of taps, the 3.
No, yeah, just the one, just to turn it off with the one.
Okay.
So that's pretty funny. You can also put in an auto shutdown on the flashlight. So if the flashlight has been on for 10 minutes, you can have it turn off automatically so it doesn't kill your battery, or just keep the flashlight going. You can set that for any duration you want. You can have it vibrate when the flashlight starts, so you know that the flashlight is on. So if you're in the dark and if you didn't notice that the light turned on, it vibrates to tell you that the light is on. It can also set it to have the phone vibrate after the flashlight has been on for several minutes. So if you forget that you turned the flashlight on for some reason, make the phone vibrate to remind you that it's on. So it's a pretty nifty, simple, physical app that makes it easier to turn on that flashlight when you're fumbling around in the dark. Just do it. There it goes.
Nice. It's a cool.
There it is. Yeah.
It's a cool trick.
Yeah. So
I like it.
So there you go. Flashlight, torch, something. Power button, flashlight, torch.
They're all named flashlight, torch, something or other.
It's free in the Google Play Store. 99 cents in-app purchase to turn on the turn-off functionality.
What is the developer? If you zoom in on that, what is the developer? Because that might help with searching for it. Because there are a ton of flashlight apps. Jones Technologies.
Yep.
So there you go. You can look for Jones Technologies LLC. That might be an easier way to find it. But it's power button, flashlight, torch.
Right. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Like it.
We'll see if Google renders it unnecessary, but who knows?
Well, they aren't going to turn. I doubt they're going to turn your power button into a flashlight.
True.
Power,
Yeah.
On off.
The physical button is a cool thing, and recording the power button hits in a certain number of time is a clever way to do it. And Lord knows, fumbling around the room trying to get your clothes, that it helps. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Now, Gina, I am realizing I have your app installed, but I don't have an account.
Yeah, you don't have an account, Jason. So I don't even worry about. It's a process to set up. I'm sorry, I should have given you a heads up about that. So we can just use the screenshots in the Play Store, and I'll talk through it.
I don't think you want to rush through setting up that account, Jason. Given what this app is,
it's a finance. Yeah, it's a finance thing. You really honestly have to own some for it to. Let me just tell you what my app is.
Easier.
I picked this week as an app I've been using for many months, and I was actually kind of surprised that I've never done an arena in the arena. And this is my last arena for a while, so I wanted to kind of put it out there. It's called Bitcoin Wallet, and this is Bitcoin Wallet by Coinbase. Because if you just search for Bitcoin Wallet, there's several. Make sure that you're using the one made by Coinbase. Coinbase.com is a Bitcoin service. So now, I don't think that we've ever really talked about Bitcoin on the show.
Not a whole lot.
And I have a feeling that there's a possibility Ron is rolling his eyes.
No. I made jokes about Bitcoin a year ago, didn't I? Wasn't there that whole Bitcoin episode? Remember, there was some app.
We had something about.
I remember
Bitcoin.
There was
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Yeah. And then we had dollar signs on the thing. Brian did that, or Chad maybe. Is Chad the one with the red hair? Is that his name?
Chad, yeah, he was the one with the red hair. He probably his hair probably accepted Bitcoin. So I'm a little bit of a Bitcoin geek. I find Bitcoin kind of interesting, at least the concept, if not the thing in practice. And a long time ago, in 2011, someone gave me Bitcoin using the old school client that I downloaded onto my computer, and you had to download the blockchain, and it was this really complicated long thing, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then a few years later, I was getting rid of that computer, and I was like, oh, maybe I should save whatever Bitcoin I got saved here. And that's when I went to Coinbase. Coinbase.com is basically, it's a cloud-based Bitcoin wallet that lets you buy and sell Bitcoin and pay for things with Bitcoin and send other people Bitcoin and get your own Bitcoin address. And this Bitcoin app is the mobile version of that. So Bitcoin Wallet by Coinbase is the thing. You got to set up a Coinbase account, which Jason hasn't done, and I really didn't expect him to do. But you got to set up a Coinbase account. You'll get a Bitcoin address, and then you have to actually connect a real-world bank account of yours with actual dollars to that account in order to buy and sell Bitcoin, or just transfer Bitcoin that you already have into it. If you are someone who's just sort of interested in Bitcoin or wants to play around with Bitcoin or doesn't have any experience with Bitcoin and just kind of wants to check it out, I highly recommend this app. Like I said, I've been using it for many months. I don't use Bitcoin to buy and sell stuff, but I we'll buy $10 worth of coin every few months just to kind of keep on top of how the prices are doing. And it's super wild volatile, which is kind of fun to watch and fun and weird. And it's just fun to kind of have your own address and be able to, tip developers or send money to someone using the system. And I feel like, at least a lot of people in Silicon Valley think it's an up and coming thing. So I like kind of being involved in it a little bit or be a little bit invested in it. But this app makes dealing with Bitcoin a lot easier. You don't have to download gigabytes. I had to BitTorrent a 37 gigabyte file blockchain in order to transfer. You don't have to do any of that. Coinbase takes care of it. You basically can manage your Bitcoin just like it's another bank account. And obviously for a fee, you can buy and sell Bitcoin. You can send and receive Bitcoin using the app. It's a pretty plain Jane, but nicely designed Android app, native Android app. And and it's free. So if you're interested in Bitcoin, if you like to dabble like I do, highly recommend Bitcoin Wallet, and that's by Coinbase, and it's free.
So I was correct. It was episode 157 titled, Who Do I Give My Bitcoin To?
Ah, okay.
And Gina, you were on the show. Yeah, that was April 2014. Man, less than a year ago, we were making those Bitcoin jokes. So,
making fun of some Bitcoin. That may have been before I started. Before I was like, oh, let me get this Bitcoin off this computer because it may actually be worth something.
I've never bought a Bitcoin. When I released the Yellow Gold Ever One about a year ago, I had someone ask what my Bitcoin address was because they wanted to send me Bitcoin. And at that point, I was like, I really should do this just so that I had some, just to do it. And I didn't do it, and kicking myself now. I feel like you just gave a really good reason for me to get some Bitcoin, because if it's early stages, and it's just good to be connected to it a little bit. And
I like watching it just for fun. Actually, the price has been declining, which some would say is a waste of your money. I would say maybe it's a good time to buy. And it's fun to have an address. I actually set up a Keybase account, keybase.io, and they asked for your Bitcoin address, and I was like, I'll set up an address. Why not? I take some Bitcoin, maybe spend some Bitcoin at some point.
There's something about Bitcoin that scares the crap out of me.
Yes.
It's really weird. And in fact, if you don't have any idea how Bitcoin works, there's this great article. It's on Medium. If you Google it, just Google "explain Bitcoin to me like I'm 5." It's a pretty short read that I think does a really good job explaining what Bitcoin is. And some people treat it sort of like an investment, which I guess is how I treat it, because I really don't buy and sell stuff with Bitcoin, but I see it more and more, and I feel like that at some point I probably will. For now, I'm just sort of dabbling, and like I said, just buying a little coin here and there for the fun of it.
I think when we were joking on episode 157 about Bitcoin back in April 2014, but
episode dropper.
Yeah, but no, I'm seeing it in San Francisco, of course, in San Francisco, but there's a ramen place in Japantown that on the front they cash and Bitcoin accepted. They don't take credit cards, but they take Bitcoin. So
San Francisco.
Yeah.
Can you pay in part of a Bitcoin with part of a Bitcoin? Because if one is worth 200 whatever.
Yeah, you could pay in increments. Yeah, in percentage. Even
You're not locked. I don't know. No, you have to drop 200 and whatever dollars today if you want to pay for
everything starts at $200.
That lunch. Yes.
Bitcoin scares me. It scares me.
I just feel like I would buy my ramen one day, and then the next day the price would go through the roof, and I'd realize that I just spent, whatever, $150 on a bowl of ramen.
Really good ramen, though. It's really good.
It would have to be really good. It'd have to be really good.
Gold-plated ramen.
Yeah. They put butter in it. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Bryan.
Bitcoin pizza purchase that's worth $7 million today?
Yeah.
Really?
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stories of people who have had Bitcoin, mined Bitcoin 5 years ago that it's now worth, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars.
Aren't there
cash out?
Aren't there other coins? Aren't there there's some dog one, right? There's
Dogecoin.
There's Dogecoin. Yeah, me and Padre talked about that for a while on Know How. But
do you have lots of?
Do you have
Bitcoin?
Corgi coin, Bryan?
I am a Doge-leonaire. Doge-leonaire. I have 1 million Dogecoin, but it's not worth anything compared to Bitcoin. So
yeah.
Well, it sounds impressive.
Yeah.
Until you see it. How much do you have in Dogecoin?
Like 1.2 million.
In Doge, but what is that? What is that in USD?
Like
5 cents.
$5. Last time I checked, it was like $50.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's early stages though.
Yeah, I'm getting it on the ground floor.
Yeah.
All
right. There we go. Dogecoin.
Doge.
This week's poll can be found at AAApoll.com/196 for episode 196. AAApoll.com/196, and let us know which is your favorite app /game from this week. Is it ridiculous fishing, which we can all agree was ridiculous, and also fishing? Was it power button flashlight, which we can all agree turned your power button into a flashlight?
It did.
Into operating your flashlight. Or was it Bitcoin Wallet by Coinbase, which we can all agree had something to do with Bitcoin?
Yep. I'm glad that we're in agreement.
Yes, good. We're all on the same page.
My cryptocurrency of choice is ramen coin. where it's all you convert your money into ramen. And yeah, I'm wearing a ramen shirt too. That wasn't even planned.
It's like a theme. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
wow.
From Momofuku.
Some people eat ramen out of the package uncooked. Did you know this?
I did that in college.
See,
You just eat it like, it's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine.
We're talking about ramen.
All about ramen. I would totally host that show, by the way.
Okay. Good to know.
It would be fantastic.
We'll go ahead and leave Leo a note. And
All
if
about
he wants
ramen.
to take you up on that, he will.
All about ramen.
I think what we're actually doing is putting off the inevitable.
We really are because I don't want to. I don't want it.
I'm going to be eating ramen for the rest of my life because I'm so bummed.
I don't want to. No, I'm not going to let you. Oh, God.
Man. Gina, what's going on?
Well, you guys. I really like you guys. This is hard.
Aww, we like you too.
So I announced this on Twig last week. This is my last week hosting All About Android as a regular weekly host. And I just want to thank you guys and Bryan for making, and Bryan.
Thank you.
For making every Tuesday night so awesome and so much fun. It's not you, it's me. I've been stretched a little thin lately and showing some seams, and I'm just gonna. I need to kind of put 150% in my startup every day, try to grow it into a sustainable business. So I'm kind of cutting back on things, including hosting the shows. It's not goodbye though. It's see you later. I'm gonna guest on here on AA whenever Jason and Ron will have me. Anyway,
we'll have you every week if you would like to.
I'm gonna be like you guys.
Yeah,
no, I want you to be my go-to. Holy crap, we couldn't get a guest scheduled tonight person. So, and I'm not just saying that to be polite. I really.
If you can contact me 2 hours before the show starts and let me know you don't have a guest, I'll be happy to do that. Yeah.
Maybe not 2 hours before the show, but team guest. I will be on team guest. I'll give you guys a run for your money.
Wow, yeah, no kidding.
That shifts the background.
That really does. This could be the year of the guest.
Yeah, it could be. Yep.
Oh,
no,
man.
I really enjoyed doing All About Android. It's funny when Lisa talked to me about doing it 2 years ago, I was like, oh yeah, but it probably will only be for a few months because I'm kind of busy and I'm building this company and it might turn into something. And she was like, we'll take you for as long as we can have you. And it turned out to be 2 years, and it's just been a great couple of years. And I really enjoyed this with doing this with you guys. So thank you.
It really has been.
All the emails about this topic were sitting in my inbox just unread because I didn't want.
You're like, no, I'm not gonna read it.
I read the first one. I was like, nope, I'm just gonna be in denial. Stick my head in the sand.
I completely agree. And speaking of emails, we actually have an email from Nick Friedman, who I believe probably speaks for the wide majority of the audience, who says, I wanted to share my gratitude for Gina's work on the Twit network and moreover as a bastion of kindness, generosity, and intelligence in the tech community. While she also represented the best of women, LGBT, mother geekdom, it is this kindness and spirit I'm most grateful for. AAA will no doubt still be marvelous. I love listening to you all, but Gina's going to leave quite a gap. As always, thanks for the insight and fun every week. With or without Gina, remain loyal listener. Completely agree.
So
Gina,
nice.
You're gonna be missed on the show on a regular basis.
I mean, in all honesty and joking aside and all stuff like that, Gina, you are somebody who I've read your work for years before we ever even met. And when Jason told me you were going to join the show, I got super intimidated because I'm like, oh crap, crap, this is someone who actually knows this stuff and is smart and way smarter than me, and so you have hopefully made me, and I don't want to speak for Jason, but I know personally for me, you made me up my game and know my stuff and know that, because you'll call it when you see it and you can't fake it around Gina. And so I appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. So.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really, really, really nice of you.
Yeah. You bring a very unique combination of attributes to the show that's going to be impossible to fill.
Well, I mean, honestly, going back in the show's history, I mean, you replaced Eileen, who I thought that was.
Big shoes.
It's just the way. Yes.
Yeah. Talk about intimidated. I'm big shoes.
Yeah. No. And it's funny because I had worked with Eileen for years. Jason had known Eileen for years. Yeah. We had a great rapport, but you stepped in and we developed this, and it's something that I'm immensely proud of and look forward to every week. And it won't be the same without you. Now, that said, I totally understand where you're coming from, and of all the reasons to do it, this is the best reason, to walk away.
Completely agree, and ThinkUp is awesome, so I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that you would want to invest all of your time in ThinkUp and, work to take it to the next level, and we can't wait to see, what you're able to do with ThinkUp now going forward, because it's just off to a great start. I love ThinkUp. So
I want to be in the black. The goal is to be in the black. I think we can do it.
I think you can do it. I know you can do it.
I know that pressure. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ThinkUp is awesome.
Thanks,
Everybody,
guys.
go sign up for it.
That's right.
Oh,
Support
thanks.
ThinkUp. Support Gina. Support ThinkUp. They kind of go hand
The
in
chat
hand.
room, you guys are killing me. You guys, everyone is being so kind and nice. Thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
we had the discussion prior to the show. Do we mention it at the beginning or at the end? And I think it was the right way to go, Gina. Mention it at the end. Otherwise, the entire show is going to be us dancing around it.
Yep.
But yes.
Well done.
Yes.
So-
It's been awesome having you on the show. Thank you for just helping to make the show even better. And I'm super proud of what we've been able to do on this show. And it's going to be hard to replace you. As far as going forward is concerned, right now we're just going to we're going to take it slow.
Yep.
And we're going to bring on guests, as we usually do. Today we didn't have a guest because, I thought if this is Gina's,
Right call.
last full-time
just us.
episode, why couldn't it be just us? But, kind of going forward, I'm going to be doing what we have been, which is getting interesting guests from all around the Android community on to, along with Ron, Bryan, and I, and we'll just kind of take it slow, see what happens.
I do love the opportunity of Gina leaving, giving people on Google Plus to talk about how bad I am. I did enjoy that. I've been having fun +1ing people who are like, well, without Gina, Ron's going to be out of control now. And it was like stuff like that. So thank you for that. That was very well.
You should promise me that you will just razz Ron as much as he needs to be. Just come on, just talk. Just come on, get
Bring
him
it
off the pop email. Just
All right. I'll write that down in my notes. Pop email has to be.
The pop email.
I got to come back at least to do that.
Okay, excellent. And
Someone's got to put me in my place. I'm okay with that.
I think it goes completely without saying, Gina, that the door is always open for you. So anytime you want to grant us, the privilege of having you on the episode, all you need to do is send me an email or whatever and just say, hey, I want to do it, and you're in. But I will still contact you otherwise, and extend an invite for you because we love having you on the show. So
We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch because I am going to be on Twig once a
right.
month. We decided. So you and I will be in touch, and during that time, we'll also schedule AAA appearances. So
fantastic.
yeah. It's just see you later. It's not goodbye. It's just see you later.
Exactly what I was going to say. Excellent. Well, thank you, Gina. So this is a great part of the show where
Plug away.
Yeah, plug away. What you got coming up? What are you going to be working on over the next year?
Me? I was like, we're still talking about me. That's nice. Thank you. Well, I'm going to be working on ThinkUp. Just, building the business, growing the product, supporting new networks like maybe Instagram, maybe a little Tumblr, maybe a little LinkedIn. We'll see what happens. And just trying to make it, as compelling, kind of interesting, and building new insights and making it as fun as possible. So that's pretty much going to be my focus. And I'm going to be doing a little bit more writing because I haven't really had any time to write the past year or so. But that'll be my personal blog at scribbling.net. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for your support of ThinkUp and for showing off your ThinkUp, giving such great ThinkUp. I really appreciate that on every episode of the show. So yeah, come check it out.
Yep, ThinkUp. Check it out for yourself. We will continue to be talking about it because I know Ron gets great pleasure of showing off his ThinkUp on the show.
I will continue my pursuit of making the ThinkUp homepage as an example of a key ThinkUp user. I won't. I'll just have to bug I'll have to bug Gina via email or when I show up at her doorstep in New York when I'm visiting.
Yeah.
Put me on the homepage. I love my ThinkUp. So, yeah, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Where can people find you and your ThinkUp?
So people can find my ThinkUp at ronxo.thinkup.com, and you can also find a link to that on about.me/ronxo with all links to all my fun social networks and all that rigmarole. By day, you can find me over at imagecomics.com, where we make some of the best comic books in the world. And listen up, I have got a deal for you, everyone. If you're curious about comic books, you want to check out Image Comics, now is the time. We've teamed up with Humble Bundle once again for another bundle. It's available at humblebundle.com/books. And for pay what you want, help charity in the process. We're helping out the Hero Initiative, which is a great charity that provides money and support for comic book creators who oftentimes are freelancers their entire lives, don't have insurance, and when they run into problems, they need help. And so we're happy to partner with them. You can get over $280 worth of comics for whatever you want to pay. The average price is $15. $18 gets you a whole lot of Walking Dead, like 48 issues of The Walking Dead and 3 volumes of Saga. It's a ton of great stuff. And today, if you go to humblebundle.com/books, you can check out Sex Criminals #1, which is the Eisner Award-winning comic book that everyone's talking about. That is awesome. You can totally get that for free. Just put in your email and you get a free download from there. But so if you want to check out what I do by day, this is blood, sweat, and tears. It goes into these great comics with these great artists and writers and help charity out in the process. So go check that out.
Humble Bundle.
Humble Bundle.
Good stuff. Bryan, what about you, sir?
Well, it looks like my camera turned off. So got that.
It quit. Your camera quit.
I don't know.
Rage quit.
Weird. But anyway, I'll keep it short because I might, bust into tears over here, because you will be missed, Gina. But fortunately, we'll have you on the network a lot more anyway. So, but for me, you can catch me hanging out with Padre on Know How Thursdays at 11 o'clock, and also tonight after All About Android, me and Padre are going to be doing his corner, Padre's corner. So we'll be talking about probably a lot of stuff he saw at CES and everything. So check that out.
I imagine drones is probably on the docket.
That is seems to be a topic that we
I know.
Yeah, recirculate.
There was some cool drone stuff going on at CES, so I'm not surprised at all. Cool. And for those of you watching for the very first time, Bryan does actually have a face. He's not actually a black. Black picture.
I don't know.
He's
I've never
sad.
actually. I don't know with the technology you guys got here in Twit. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, see, he just nodded right there. That's him nodding. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. You can find my music at yellowgoldmusic.com. Before we hit the end of show music, just a quick thing. This is just a stupid thing on my part. I've been asking for voicemails for the past many months and been like, God, no one leaves voicemails anymore.
Is the number not working?
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I've had the All About Android email box forwarding to my Twit email, and I thought they were all forwarding. Apparently, none of the voicemails have been forwarding over, just the emails.
No.
So I logged in the All About Android email address for something else entirely, just like, I got to get in here, blah, blah, blah. And then I was hit with like 200 voicemails.
Oh, can we do an all voicemail show?
All unheard.
Oh, let's totally do an all voicemail show. That'd be so much fun.
Oh, man, that's going to take me some time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
But yes, maybe.
Yeah.
But I just want to say I'm sorry.
Let's just play them blind.
Just play them. Just make that the entire show.
Yeah, we used to do that on iFanboy all the time. We do an all voicemail show. We wouldn't listen to them in advance.
I opened it up and I saw like 200 unread, unlistened voicemails, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm a jerk.
You see,
I am a jerk. Here I thought no one was leaving voicemails.
Here's the difference between Jason and I. Jason with a lovely wife and 2 adorable children who I got to meet on New Year's Eve.
That's right.
And me, boring guy who lives by himself in San Francisco, I would totally come in on a Saturday and just do like a 6-hour show and get through them all.
Even though they're like 5 months out of date and everything.
Okay, this is like, great. I mean,
we'll go back in time and answer this as if it were last July.
I'm down. I'm ready.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll take a look. But anyways, I'm listening now. So
actually, Sailor Lion in the chat room says it'd be great for 200th episode coming up, all voicemails. So if we made the 200th episode all feedback, like voicemails, emails, video, like YouTubes, that'd be
sure.
Cool. I mean, we take a week off of the news.
I suppose it's time to plan that because that's 1 month from now.
3 episodes away. 4 episodes away.
So mark it, dude. Episode 200. We'll do kind of an all feedback show. We have not done one of those.
We've never done that.
No, we have.
Have we?
Many moons ago.
Really?
Yes, early Eileen days.
Before
Every 5 or 6 episodes, we would do.
I remember that.
Yes, things have changed a lot since then. But yes, so we'll work on that. But you can go ahead and cue the music now because that's it for this week. Send us a voicemail, and I'll listen to it this time. 347-SHOW-AAA. You can send us an email at AAA@twit.tv. Find us on Twitter. We are at Android Show. Find us on Reddit at twitaaa.reddit.com. Of course, we have a webpage. It's twit.tv/AAA. You can find show notes there, past episodes. You can also find our episodes on YouTube and iTunes. And you can, of course, catch us live every Tuesday starting at 5 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. That's it. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android.
Bye, Gina.
Bye. I got to do the Android peace sign.